Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. It's just I was focusing on this, actually hoping for a little pullback. So let's make sure everything is set. So we got 27. Sorry, 107. Hope everyone's had a great weekend and back ready for business. 1, 2, 3, beautiful. Okay. So, what the fuck? Eaten by that high or low? You took that one. Trouble is, we got a leg down, and there's a lot of liquidity here. There's liquidity here, and down below here as well. Blue collar, how you doing? Jan, how you doing, my friend? So yeah, see, the way I see it is we got two legs up. Now, if that's a channel, which it could be, there's an overshoot, which means we could get a bigger correction, and that looks like a correction. So I didn't think this was going up. So at least I wasn't there. Yeah, it's got, to me, it's got risk written all over that. We got a channel down. I thought when that bar triggered, that was coming down and it went up a bit more, but yeah, high or low, I wasn't ready to take that. I always avoid that next long when we've had an overshoot. Well, I say long of an uptrend when we've had an overshoot, because a lot of the times it can trigger it. Now, there is liquidity here, isn't there? Two legs. And I thought that might be easy picking, and it did. It came down and cleared that liquidity. You might want to reload. Okay, let's have a look. Why won't that? Oh, okay. Wouldn't, strange. Second entry long. Yeah, and not only that, anyone else notice this pattern I was looking at? See, I took that off and I was looking at head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, shoulder. So that, I mean, looking at it like this, it's a bearish pattern, isn't it? So I'm just sort of sitting tight at the minute. And not only that, oh, well, it has changed a bit. Yeah, I was kind of looking at a triple test as well, the way I was looking at it. Let me have a look. Maybe. Okay, right, let's have a look. That's why you wait for the higher low. To be honest with you, it's congested around here. So, yeah, I'm not sure here. Not only that, the reason I took the channel off, because to me it looks like two legs. Now, I'm aware this gap is likely to get filled, and we've had two pushes up and a big drop down below the EMA, so I'm wary about going long. We're at all-time highs. It is a channel break and a new low, but I just think it's risky around here. I think you do get used to just looking at something and thinking something just feels a little bit too dodgy around here. You know what I mean? I'm not ready to trade anything just at the moment. Market is closing early. What time? I don't believe it is closing earlier. I know it's a holiday, but I think it's one of those holidays that isn't finishing earlier. So let me have a look. I've got my sheet here. I haven't had any emails. Usually I get an email from Ninja Trader. So where are we? Yeah, it's not a holiday today. It's a holiday, but it's not classed as a holiday for the CME group. I've got Labor Day, 1st to the 3rd of September, and after that, Thanksgiving at the end of the month. And I've got the 2024 CME Globex trading schedule. So I don't believe it is. Now, there's a second entry short there. Well, it was looking like there was. We've kind of had a leg and a leg. So I still think this is going to go down. Reason being is, one, we got the gap down here. Two, it does look like a head and shoulders pattern. But I'm not super convinced, so I'm just staying out of the trade. So I'm not sure. No, it's not a CME holiday. Usually when it is a CME holiday, it usually shuts around about 1 p.m, I think. So, yeah, so it's hard to say at the moment. So I don't know what's going on here. What I do know is it's sideways. So I'm guessing normal trading hours today. Second entry shows we've got a channel, 1 leg, 2 leg. That's very tempting, that is. I think submitted. I have to take that for 4 ticks. Let's see if it works.
Order submitted.
For 4 ticks, I've got to do it. So I'm just going to go for a little bit here, maybe 200. It's a second entry short. We've got a leg and a leg. I think for 4 ticks, it's a small enough risk to have a go at that, I think. It is a second entry short. We got 1 leg up, 2 leg up. It's a tiny risk, really. It's not often you get 1.2. In fact, I could even go a bit closer, can I? No, maybe not. In fact, I'm going to get out of here just for 6 ticks. Oh no, let's just leave it. It is a second entry short. Oh, I don't like that. Let's just leave the damn thing. It is a second entry short. It is looking like a what's it pattern, but for a 1.25 risk, it's worth it, I think. I'm just going to go for a 1.5 though.
Order filled.
That's over 1 to 1. It may go down, but for such a tiny risk, I think it's worth it. So my only slight concern is we've had a channel break in the news. You don't know whether we're going to have a fairly here and push up. So it was a 1.2. So I've got over 1 to 1 there. So it was such a tiny bar. I think you're mad to maybe not have a go at it, but I didn't want to push me luck. Yeah, it would have made 3 points. So perhaps I should have just left it as it was such a small risk, but let's have a look. So if you get in there, I would be going for 3 points. So I'd have to put, I actually got in right at the close as well. So there. So I wouldn't have got it yet. But I'm guessing it will come down to the bottom. It's below the midline now. So, but you know, sometimes when you think it's not a trade I would normally take, picking tops, but it worked beautifully. So, but I don't want to push me luck. It is a channel down, 2 attempts to go high. It is a second entry short, right off the key entry point. You took it for 4 ticks. Yeah, I mean, look at that, straight down. It is, to me, a head and shoulders, which is a bearish pattern. We've got 2 little corners for the shoulder, the head, and 2 more corners. So I just got 150, which was over 1 to 1. You got 5 points on your brandy, yeah. I mean, it's a tiny risk, isn't it, really? So you got to take that, I think, haven't you? It's 2 legs up. It's a second entry short. It's clearly working along there perfectly. We've had this channel, 1 attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. Once it gets below that AMA, I think it's more likely going to come down. You took it for 6 points. Good on you, mate. I mean, it's a tiny risk, isn't it? These ones where you're literally talking about a 1.25 risk, you may as well hold on. Wow, look at that. I wish I'd have held the damn thing now. So I got in right on the nail. Look at that. Wow. And that don't look like it's finished either. I'm guessing there's going to be another leg down. So, but it's not something I normally take as a rule. Let's put that there, I think. I generally don't like picking tops and bottoms, but that one's quite clear. Yeah, trouble is lately it hasn't always been filling that gap straight away, and that's what concerns me. Even if it comes down for this second leg, it still may not finish that gap. Triple test. See, I look at, yeah, I suppose you could consider, I consider that more 2 legs up as in a penguin style trade. But yeah, I mean, it's a second entry. It's clearly 2 legs back. It's working off here, so it's such a tiny trade. I think even if you don't necessarily take those, which I don't, it's just worth doing, isn't it? I think. So I got a 1.5 off that, so I don't mind. So second entry short plus 1.5 points. Morning, I see a bigger channel from Friday's pre-market. So like Devon, you're a new face. Say again, you're looking at a bigger channel from Friday's pre-market. And about up here. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, usually, as a Mac trader, I don't normally follow too much, but I mean, look at that. Everything's pumping. Crypto's gone absolutely berserk. Bitcoin's above $82,000. I'm making a killing on some things. I am starting to take profits though now. As soon as, what I tend to do in my crypto, as soon as it doubles, I'll take my original money back, and then I'll let the rest ride. When it doubles again or triples again, I'll take a bit more out. But yeah, crypto's pumping like crazy at the moment. So yeah, I mean, we got 2 issues here. There's that leg and there's that gap. So ordinarily that gap would get filled, but if it is going to work in that line, it may not. So we have to say that. So leg, 2 legs back and a leg. I wish I'd have held on to that now, but there you go. It's such a small risk. I should have done really. It was a bit careless actually. I should have thought. I should have held that and thought, let's get some, you know, especially with such a small risk. I mean, it's rare nowadays you get a 1.25 risk. So yeah, there may be something larger pushing up. And I'm going to take this off anyway because it's going to coincide with the start of this. So we'll see what happens. But 2 legs up, 2 legs back. It does look like kind of part of a bigger channel, doesn't it? We get to the top, we have 2 legs back, we move up. We get to the top, we have 2 legs back, we move up. Are you going for 3 contracts? No, I go for 2 contracts, and I usually go for a fixed 3 points. But I generally don't pick tops of ranges. But the reason I got a 1.5 out of that is because it was over a 1-to-1 risk anyway. So I thought, you know, you never quite know. Channel break, 1 attempt to go lower. You don't know whether it's going to start to take off and maybe retest these higher points. So that's why I just got out for a 1.5. I just wanted to get 1-to-1. So we're a couple of ticks off that measured move. So let's see what happens now. So I'd say, you talking about that channel, I'm guessing that tick has probably kissed the bottom of it. Yeah, it has. So be interesting to see now whether this thing takes off, because it is. The way that's moving, it's actually moving like it's in something larger, isn't it? Because we got a leg down, 2 legs back and a leg down, and the same up. So it does look like it's part of a big channel. Trying to push myself to take these range highs. Yeah, I mean, I've never been a brilliant range trader, to be fair. I will take them, but I usually wait for the lower high. I just have never had a massive amount of success with picking them. There wasn't a lower high there. Ordinarily, if it hit the top, I'd have taken a lower high there. But so many times now, it just takes off and doesn't give you a chance to get in. But that is probably at the top of a range, about as good as it gets. 1, it's clearly 2 legs back. 2, it's a little channel with a break and a new high. 3, it's perfectly sat right on top of there. And 4, it's a 1.25 from, top to bottom, that's with an extra tick. So I think in all fairness, that's probably a no-brainer. I'm surprised not many people took it. I'm really surprised. Thomas Wade never took it. The trouble is with Thomas Wade, he's focusing on a new high. He's got it as a channel, and you'll hear him say that even with an overshoot, he's still looking for a new high. See, to me, overshoots can result in a full-out reversal, and that, to me, looks about as reversal-ish as you can get. But, like you say, there's quite likely a bigger picture there, but it is 2 legs back. And the reason Thomas Wade never took that is because he's not thinking about going short here. He's thinking about retesting these highs. It's just how he trades. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. But with that overshoot, you just never know. We've had a leg down, 2 clear attempts to push up, second entry short. Such a small risk. I think you've got to take that. But I don't think many people took it. Well, that's if you've obviously got a decent bar, that is. I'm surprised no one took it. You took that second entry long for a measured move for 4 ticks. That one there. Yeah, I think after that measured leg, I could probably even keep that. Yeah, after that measured leg, it's a tick or 2 off, isn't it? I think there's a good chance then we come back. It's going to be liquidity there. If I took that short there, I'd expect to get stopped out. So if there is a bigger channel, we've had 2 legs back. You'd expect that to get, once it bounced perfectly, that big channel. Yeah, as isn't it? I mean, ordinarily, we don't use them. You'll never hear Mac talking about it, which is kind of who we follow, but I'm always a little bit open-minded and thinking, I don't know how you can deny that. Now, if it comes down, that may be a different story, but the fact that we've had 2 legs, yeah, obviously, as we know, we get in these trends, and when we get to the top, usually people take profits, and there we got 2 legs back, we start to work it up, and then off we go again. So that's about as straightforward as a pullback as you can get, really. It's absolutely bloody obvious. So now we are testing this line. Let's see what happens now. So there is a higher low there. So now, if you think we're going up, I don't think that's a bad trade to take. Having said that, I'm still just not sure at the moment, because it may come back and have another test of this. So I'm just sitting on this. Yeah, it hasn't triggered anyway. Trouble is, leg down. I mean, there's always a possibility it comes down and fills that. It's amazing how accurate these things can be. Whether it will or not, I don't think for the sake of for the sake of a couple of ticks it will, because that's all it is, 2 ticks. But sometimes it does. It just leg down at a break, new low, and maybe a retest. Who knows? Now, there's always a possibility of something larger coming down. I don't know. I'm a bit on the fence here at the moment. Yeah, right up to the EMA. So yeah, for 4 ticks. So you got a lot of options, Jan, for 4 ticks. Channel break, new low, bounced off this possible larger channel. Channel break, new low. Bearish bar there, floating right in the middle of nowhere. You'd expect that to get stopped out, and it did. So yeah, 4 ticks. Yeah, definitely. Channel down. One attempt to go higher. Second attempt to go higher. This thing could come down some more. Maybe it will fill that little gap there. Oh, I've been watching a really good series if anyone's interested. It's called The Diplomat. Really good, actually. It's about the US ambassador comes over to the UK. It's a really good series, actually. So if you're stuck for something to watch, I know it's on Netflix here in the UK, but The Diplomat it's called. It's really good. Really good series. I almost find my 1 to 3 trades a day, 1 to 2 hours a yeah. I think, personally, it's hard trading going for 1 point, but if you're a competent trader, I don't think it is. Like you say the other day, didn't you say you had about a 93 or 96% win rate? If you can trade like that, if you go for, say, 2 trades a day, that's $200 a day. I probably get 2 to 3 trades a week going for 3 points. You can earn more money than me. So, yeah, I think it works for you, Jan. So, it doesn't work for everybody, but I think it works for you. So, like I said with Mac, if it's not broken, why try and fix it? No, yeah, I know what you're saying. I started yesterday, Designated Survivor. It hooked me so far. Yeah, I know, it's good, isn't it? I've seen that. I think I've watched that twice, actually. I like those type of series which sort of get into the politics. I've never been much interested in politics, but over the last few years it is. But yeah, it's good, that is. I really enjoyed that. As I say, I've watched that twice. There's some great actors in there. Cal Penn, isn't it? The Asian guy who was in House. Who's in that? I like it. Yeah, it's a really good series, that, and obviously Kiefer Sutherland. It's a great series, that is. Yeah, I've seen that twice. I watched it a few years ago, and I watched it again about 6 months ago. It's a shame, really, they didn't carry it on. There's nothing worse than having a great series. Channel down, 2 pushes to a new low. It's very tempting to go long here. Channel 2 pushes. Now, ordinarily, it's not how I would trade, but look how that's sitting there. So, too big anyway. Diplomat series is pretty short each session. Yeah, it's about 45 minutes in it. How you doing, Sean? Yeah, I watched the last one of season 2 where well, I won't say anything, actually, just in case you haven't watched it. But there's some good twists in it. I like both of those main actors. The one that plays Hal, Rufus something. He was in. He played the baddie in The Knight's Tale, didn't he? And I forget what the girl's name. Very pretty. It's a really good series. I enjoyed that. And they have set to do a series 3, so that's good news. 6. Yeah, I think it's about 6. I think, isn't it? 6. I think it's 6. Yeah, that's the only downside, isn't it? I used to watch House, and I like it when you got about 26 episodes in a series. It just makes it better, doesn't it? But there is some good stuff out there. I recently watched Billions 5-6 months ago. I'd never seen that before. Great series. If you're into trading, it's watchable. You'll enjoy that. Some really strong characters in there. Do you know something? I'm tempted to take a higher low here, but my concern is we have 1, 2, 3, a triple test, and this comes down. It's very easy to get focused on this bigger channel. Now, it is fitting, so I think you've got to pay attention to it. But because we go for such small moves, sometimes sometimes that doesn't make a difference, but we're so close to it here, I think you have to pay attention to it. Normally 2 legs down, 1, 2, 3. It almost looks like it's reversing, doesn't it? But price is still below that EMA. So for me, a long at the moment is probably just something I should sit and wait. That bullish bar is triggered, so it'd be nice to see this trigger. and then see if it goes up, but it could come down. There is, even though this is looking like a channel, there is still space to this measured leg, so this could come down, take out that and that. There may be some stops below there, some long stops below there. Still declining, yeah. It's. I think the thing about a trade is you've got to keep an eye on so many different angles, haven't you? That does look like we've got a touch, a touch, a touch, a touch, and a touch, and it's fitting nice at the top. So I think it's something that you've got to pay attention to. I wouldn't want to go short here, although, you know, but for me, we've had a leg down sideways and a leg down sideways, so this could now go up. But also channel down once, twice. You may call that a triple test. I would prefer my triple test higher up. If I was going to go short there, I would prefer that bar sat here somewhere, and then that would interest me. But you've got to pay attention to that, I think. There'll be some shorts there, and no doubt there as well. So, God, I really wished I'd have held on to that. I was very tempted to. I should have done. It's because I don't take those a lot. I kind of thought, well, I can get a 1.5 here, so I've got more than 1-to-1. But there you go. So it may stop that out, and it may stop that out and fill the little gap there to that measured move. But it might not. 1, 2, 3 bounces. It's tough here. You have got to be careful here, though. You could get, you may get tricked here. So also then, there could be a channel down here, so it may push up here, hit the top of that channel, create a triple test, and then come short. So the trouble is, generally we don't do that. See, if you look at Thomas Wade here, overshoot, reversal, he's thinking about short, so is he. So you've got to be so careful, you can get caught out. But we have had a measured leg, and we're going sideways, so this may push up, clip this area, create a triple test and come down. So we still haven't filled that gap yet, see, so I'm going to leave that for now, because whenever I've been a little bit overprotective in the past, I've missed out. So I'm just going to be aware that it could happen. There's a failure there, trapping some longs. I'm still not ready to go short, because if this is a channel, there's some vacant space here. Okay, so that failure has triggered. I wouldn't take that personally, because it's also ranging, so most breakouts fail, so I just wouldn't take that personally, because there's a lot of space here. This could come up, clean out that stop, and hit this area. If this is a channel down, this is an area where I'd expect price to go to, or I expect to take a trade. So this for me is a bit low. Doesn't mean it won't work. There is a few ticks left there. So, but I've taken these before and they've triggered me, pushed up, had a nice second entry short here and gone down beautifully. So I'm just sitting tight here. There's not enough room to the lows for me for 3 points anyway. So there's a 1.5 there. You got to push through. 1.5. A point there to the lows. 1.5 to the measured leg because it's got to push through. So I'm just sitting tight here. And also it's a bit of a range. Could break out and fail. Often we get a failure at the low and then at the top. So if it pushes up here, we may get a short here. Let me have a look at that bigger channel. I think if there is a bigger channel, I think is it holding or not? Was it here or was it there? Can't remember what it was now. It's there, wasn't it? I think it's surpassed it now, isn't it? Let me have a look. Yeah, it's gone below it now. Okay. That measured leg's filled now. Okay, so let's see how this closes. I won't be shocked if that closes right on that line. Maybe not. Okay, let's get rid of that. So this looks like it's going to fill that gap. Now we've got this area here. Let's see what happens. So that's where it needs to get to fill it. So took a short there, was able to pass my 10th account. Good on you, that one there. Yeah, I don't think it's terrible. My only concern is we've had two pushes up there. And my concern was we were going to stop that bearish bar out, that bullish bar there, bounce here, and then push up to the top, trap in any shorts that may be there for the failure or there for the lower high. Which is why I'm a bit cautious. If they'd have been up here, if that bar had been up here, I'd have had a go. But, you know, everyone's got their own level of risk, and you'd expect that to work more times than not. So depending on what you go for, it may be still viable to take it. Not only that, if we're coming down to this measured leg, there's going to be stops below there and stops below there. So once it gets below there and there, for me, that's what's caused that quick drop there to clear out anything there. And then obviously it's broken below and pushing back up. So there's a higher low there. Is this thing failing? Going to come down some more. So yeah, channel fade breakout. My only concern there is we're coming down, so I generally don't fade into a downward trend. Okay, straight to the top and then a quick drop. So let's have a little look here, see what happens. Unfortunately, it's quite a big bar that, and we're so far down now. So second entry short. If we can get a little pullback there, maybe trap some longs. Trouble is, if we're at the bottom of the channel here, we are slowly coming away. So we could get a break. That will be the natural line for me, I think. Whether it does or not is a different matter, but wow, Bitcoin, $83,000. Unbelievable. Solana, just under $220. Man, it's gone crazy, that is. Zen, how you doing, buddy? Doge is just under 30 cents. That's up 22% today. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. CRO up 23% today. Okay, let's have a look. I've got some render. How's that doing? I've got some Ondo as well. Ondo's up 18% today. Brilliant. Where's render? I got some render. Render's up 12% today. I'm doing right, actually. Crypto's I know a little bit more. The last bull market or the last bull run I got in at the top. So it crippled me. So just sitting tight here. So I'm guessing that's probably going to get stopped out. Yeah. So let's have a look. Possible we get a break here. coming away from the bottom there. So as I mentioned there, we got a possibility we could come up and retest this sort of line here. So lagging a lag, we'll see. Second entry short up here, maybe even a triple test, channel break. Be nice to get a short up here. I don't know if I'd take a second entry short here, to be honest with you. With that close to that big bearish bar there, I would expect it to break above here. Zero reasons to buy, absolutely, yeah. I was looking for a possible short here. Leg and a leg. Set up even if you wanted one. Oh, someone's got a trade here on this bar. It's quite different, this is. That bar there, lower high. Unfortunately, I've got the same as Thomas Wade's. Even on my second chart, I got nothing. I'm just not sure here. Because we're coming away from the bottom here, a lot of times that will lead to a break. We're at the bottom of a channel here. Now, the only other reason we may be coming down like that is if we've got a spike in a channel. And if that's the case, we're going to get a break, which means we're going to get up here anyway. So whether it's like that, I expect to get up with this measured move, or whether it's like that, we're coming away from the bottom, and I think we're going to get up to a measured move. I don't think we're going to. Well, I don't say we're definitely going to. But so many times when we start to lose momentum and we come further and further away, that leads to a break. Today's Veterans Day. Our market is closed today. Bond market, yeah. In fact, if I put that there, that will take us right to here. We'll see, it could come down, but whenever we're coming away like this, I'm just cautious about going short. Yeah, there is a couple of people who've taken trades there, but they've got a very different bar than me. I've just changed my break of end of day for some reason. I didn't have it. There's a lower high there. I thought I always have that setup break at end of day. I'm still a bit cautious though. There we go. Okay, let's see if it fills this gap. I'm aware of it. That's to fill the gap. So I think it's likely we get it filled. My only concern here, and I see this every day, whenever we get a channel here and it's fitting nice at the top and it starts to come away, often leads to a break. So generally I avoid any shorts around here. Now, it doesn't always, but a lot of the time it does. Now on here, I've got nothing very attractive. So a break on here would leave us up to here, which then would usually push down and break the lows, which then would get us into this gap filling area. So sometimes it takes us a while to fill that gap. Sometimes we'll come straight down and fill it. But this to me is working down. So I think I'd be surprised if it doesn't. I'd still like to see a break here. Because you can see this coming away, can't you? And that usually does lead to a break. So I'm always cautious about taking a short here. So a channel with a break often mostly leads to a new low, which take us below this, which then really we're about 2.25 points from that there. So I'd say it's quite likely going to get filled, but there's also support here as well, so we may go up quite a bit. You just don't know. But my main concern, or my main thing I'm watching for, is a break here. It looks like it might hold. We'll see. Clearly coming away from the bottom, even more so here. So yeah, sometimes that turns into something like a spiking channel and connects then from here to here to here. But at the moment, we're right at the top and right here. There's no real lower high there up. Well, there is a slightly there, but that to me wouldn't really make me think about a spiking channel. So maybe it is just coming away and we're getting a break. If we get a break here, then I still like to see it then test these and quite likely then fill that gap. So let's have a look. So prices got the same things, coming away from the bottom, looking for a break. It's only just happened now. He's got it as a small break, but he's got a lot better bar than me, and he has as well. So the lower high worked okay. Now, for some reason, the break at end of day was selected on my other chart. Some reason, I don't know why. I always have it deselected, which gives me quite a different bar. So I didn't pay close enough attention to see that my charts are almost identical. But now I've deselected it. There's the lower high. There was a failure there, and I think the failure even worked for a couple of points. I wouldn't take the failure. It's too close to the lows for me, but you'd have got a couple of points out of that. But that one there, the lower high, I'd have got me full 3 points out of there comfortably. So we'll see. It's just one of them things, isn't it? That's why it's useful to have a second chart. Okay, I'd like to see that trigger and then push up and stop out. That's a small break. That's not enough of a break for me, so I'd like to see a leg and a leg and maybe test here. I'd like to have seen that triggered. That will give it a little bit more momentum. So let's see how far this goes. So this is the area I'm looking at. I still like it to test the lows and fill that gap. There's no reason why it shouldn't. So second entry short bearish bar up here. No, not yet. I'm not ready to buy yet. Oh, I'm so tempted to take a short there. Oh, it's moved too quick. There's a second entry short there. See if we get a lower high here. I would have liked it to get up a bit further. It's only 8 ticks as well, so it's not huge. But I haven't got it on this chart. So I'm thinking we may get a little bit higher. But I'm expecting a break here and a new low. We're having the break now, so let's just see how far this goes. And yeah, I'm not thinking about buying it as yet. I'd like it to break below here, and hopefully when it does, fill that gap. I mean, it has found support there. But with it being so close, this gap, and still in a channel by the break, I'd like to see a break here and then a test of the new lows. So just looking at this chart up here, 1, 2, may get a triple test here. Let's see what happens. Lag. I'd have preferred to get up a bit higher. Something that, or even maybe test this. Leg and a leg. Clip this big bearish bar. Okay, so channel down, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. Let's see if we get some rejection here. We've touched that. Let's see if this ends up bearish. Channel down, one attempt, second attempt.
Order submitted.
Then. It's very tempting there.
Order cancelled.
Okay, excuse me just for a second. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. Uh, hmm. Where's this going? I'm going to give it a little bit of space. There is going to be there is some support along there, so as long as it doesn't go much further, but that looks to me like we'll see. Yeah, someone has gone long there. It's not for me, to be honest with you. And not only that, on his chart, it looks like a leg and a leg. So, but see, he's got the same as me, channel with a break. You'd naturally expect a new low. Same as well, Thomas Wade's got it as a channel with a break. It's kind of a leg and a leg. Now, it can go up a bit further. He's took a trade there, but it for me, it's just a bit too early at the moment because I'd like to give it a little bit of space here in case it, because sometimes you'll see it going up, you'll jump in along here, it'll shrug you and then push, have a couple of legs down, break the lows, fill the gap, and then that'll be it. So I'm going to give this a little bit of a space. I'm just going to take a quick 3 to 5 minute break, make a cup of coffee while it's sorting itself out here. And then I'll be back. So I'm just going to pop that on there. So I'll be about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. Right, are we getting that move down? We certainly could. Overshoot. Let's see, second entry short here. So that was quite a pullback. Let's have a look. 61 point, just under the 61.8. I suppose it's kind of failing. If we can get a second entry short on the underside of this, which I don't think we're going to, I think this thing's just going to drop. But if we can, that I wouldn't mind having a go at. Trapping some longs here.
Order submitted.
Trouble is, that's quite a pullback. We could get another one.
Order
leave that for
canceled.
a minute. Just wondering, this whole thing now is starting to look just like a range. My only slight concern is if it is, this is a big break. I'd expect the same down here, which funnily enough would fill that gap. Let's see. Second entry short here. Testing this line here. What's this overnight? Maybe not.
Order submitted.
There is a second entry short up here. Trouble is, such a big bar. 16 ticks and it ain't finished yet.
Order canceled.
Sit tight here. It's going to be a lower high, I think. If we can get another leg down. Get us to the lows. See if it comes down. My concern is we've had one push up and a pull back. We get a second one. And this comes down. On my other chart, there is a higher low. You could consider it a failure. It's trapping that. The trouble is, my concern is we have one push up, pull back, and have a second push up. Stop out the shorts because they were too early. Stop out the longs and then have that second leg down after an overshoot. But it's not really an overshoot on this chart. You could possibly say it is, but I think it's negligible. But I just want to give it that time to come down and fill that gap. So I'm just not filled with the idea of going long just yet. No, that's not to say it won't. But on this, we've got a channel down. It's coming away from the bottom, so I expect a break, which we've clearly had. A break and an overshoot. Overshoot can result in a reversal, a steeper pullback. But in this case, the way that's pulled back from there, I think more likely retest this and fill that gap. So I have to say, I mean, you could take that up to there and say it's part of the same thing, in which case it'd go up. But if I think it's at an overshoot, I always like to assume it has, and it stops me from taking that first, second entry long. Because as I say, in a lot of cases, it'll trap you long and come down for a second leg, a steeper correction after you overshoot, and then end up taking off in that direction. So I'm just sitting tight at the moment. But it is starting to look like just a range. Sideways, bottom sideways. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's starting to look like a range, leg and a leg. That's looking like what's going to happen now, I think, if it is a range, which will get us to the tops, I'm guessing. It could still come down, channel down, one attempt to go higher, which failed, second attempt to go higher. If this one fails as well, then I expect that to come down, retest these lows, fill that gap. So, second entry short there, not ready to take that. Christmas Eve is 6 weeks tomorrow. I can't believe how quick Christmas has come around. So quick this year. Mm. Mm. Still trying to work out what's going on here. It's clearly kind of sideways. Mm. Someone's taken a short here. Lastly, just jumped in here. Assuming as this is coming down, it's just too risky, that is. Yeah, they've got him, I think, looks like here. Bar hasn't completely formed in that, but what do you do? Someone's gone long. He's gone short. Now, it may well come down to the MA. It may well come down to the bottom, or it may well trigger that and push up and stop out that and get to the top. We know that's an area that price is using. But this is a channel down there with two legs up. This second leg is only about half the size of the first one. So I wouldn't treat that in the same way I would a penguin style trade, whereas something like that, a bit different. Be nice to get a second entry long here to trigger and then give us a failure to go short. Channel with an overshoot. Leg and a leg of correction. I could still push up. Yeah, see, Thomas Wade is still looking for a short. He's still got this channel down here. Channel with an overshoot, push up, new high. He'd be looking to retest those lows. He certainly will be. Trouble is, there is a lot of support here, so it could possibly push higher, take out stops there and there. There's a lower high. My concern here, this triggers, pushes up to the top again. Okay, see if we can get a second entry long to trigger here, and then we'll take the failure. What I will say, though, is there is some support there, so we could be going between these two levels. Second entry long trigger giving us a failure. That wouldn't be a bad trade, that. See what happens. I wouldn't be taking a long here. I think short's more likely, at least down to the bottom here, possibly down here, and then filling that gap. Come on, give us something bullish. Here at the moment, it's just coming up 4:15 in the afternoon. So we are 5 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, I actually think we got the best deal of all. Actually, don't need to start trading until around about 2:30 in the UK. So it's a nice time actually. You know, you haven't got to worry about getting out of bed early. You haven't got to worry about getting out in the freezing cold, pitch black mornings. You're absolutely wide awake. 2:30. I like it. Sort of 2:30 to 5:30. Then I got my dinner, and then I like it. Obviously, you guys a little bit earlier in the US. Obviously, you know, depending on where you are, there is a failure there, and there's a failure on there of the chart here coming up. He's trying to cut. Yeah, exactly. It can be really early, can't it? And you've obviously got to be on your game, haven't you?
Order submitted.
You've got to be on your game.
Order cancelled.
There is a failure forming on this other chart, but it's just something about it I don't like. Let's
Order submitted. Order cancelled.
Just look at this chart here. There is a fairly trapping some longs here. You can have some stops here as well, but definitely going to be stops here. Let's see what happens. Thing is, if you look here, there is support here, so we could be coming between these two levels, which means we've already hit the bottom. And if you took that failure, look at this now. Which is why I kind of left it, because look, leg and a leg. There's going to be stops there. This quite likely. So 2 attempts to go lower and a push up. Leg up. 2 attempts to go lower. Yeah, this could go long. This could. Very tempting. See if we get a higher low off this bottom. What's the other one look like? It is a second entry. Well, technically it's not. That's the second entry, but often it'll stop that first one out and give you the second one. But it's clearly 2 legs back. So we've got a channel up here. 1 attempt to go lower, 2nd attempt to go lower. Now, from a penguin point of view, I'd like to see it push above that EMA. There is support here. We've gone up there and bounced off support. There's a lot of support here, so not sure at the moment. Just sit this one out, I think. Trouble is, if you're not sure or something's not clear, you're always best off just leaving it. Because if you're not sure, it can get you into trouble. So you've got to wait till something jumps out at you and waves in front of you. See, there's 2 schools of thought here. We've got this channel down here. Now, I mentioned here straight away I was expecting a break. And it was quite a big break, so it kind of went up to a level up here and then reversed quickly, and we did it again. And that's pushed down, so my gut tells me we're more likely to come down and retest this low. Not only that, we've got this gap down here, so there's some reasons to go short. Not only that, it's like a double top here, so it's like 2 legs up. So going long at the moment for me isn't an option. We got 2 legs down. I'd like to come up and retest this, so if we can get a second entry short off this, we may get something, but it's hard to tell at the moment. It may start ranging sideways there. I'm not really sure. If you're not really sure, you can really get stung here. I think that's the safe one. There is a lower high. That's the next safer one. But trouble is, we're so far down to this area, we could bounce and retest this. So taking trades like that, a failure like that, is just not an option. Because we're clearly finding support and here, so this could quite easily, we got a bounce up to the top, down the bottom, up to the top, down the bottom. It could come up a third time, triple test, and maybe break these highs, or maybe bounce here and come right down. So that really, for me, the move's already been made from here. Really, there is a lower high, and you'd have got a bit out of that, but that was the move, I think. But you don't know it's going to do that when it came down. But if conditions are right, that would be the option. The only bit that put me off that is I would prefer 2 legs back of the same size. That was double the size of that. So that would straight away, I would have to ask myself, am I reading this right? But we're clearly bouncing off that bottom, and we've pushed right down below and then pushed up. So going short here at the moment it's just risky in my opinion. There is a higher low there, so... But it may work, but I'm just sitting tight at the minute. Yeah, see, there is someone in a short. Taking profit right down here. See, my gut's telling me it's more likely going to go lower. But my head's telling me it's just a little bit unclear. I was watching a guy over the weekend, a currency trader in the UK. It's quite a funny guy, a bit odd, but nice enough. He's called the Scruffy Trader. He doesn't look like a trader at all. But he mentioned something that I like how he worded it, and when he was talking about emotions, he said you've got your emotional dial turned right up, and that was kind of a good way of describing emotions, isn't it? It's like a dial you have on your cooker or something like that, and it starts from 1 to 10. And when you're a new trader and you're coming in and you're doing, you're trading some kind of money or having some skin in the game. That is dialed right up to number 10 or number 9 or number 10. And as you get more experience and you spend more and more time in the market and you have risk regularly and you get exposed, that emotional dial starts to slowly go down. And then you go from being an emotional gibbering wreck with a trigger finger to a lot calmer. Your thought process and your brain takes over rather than the emotions. That fight or flight just kicks in. But I like the way he worded it, an emotional dial, and it's you can visually see that, can't you? And as you get more experience, down it goes. But I've said that now for a couple of years. The best way to get rid of those emotions is to expose yourself to risk. It's the only way to do it, really. First time you do it, it's scary. You're all over the place. Second time you do it, the same. But after a period of time, I know it kind of feels unnatural to not have to, to not worry about money. We worry about money. We're human beings. We worry about smashing the nice sports car. we worry about stuff. That's how it works. But you've got to get to the stage as a trader where you're not worried about losing money, because if you do that, you won't think clearly. And I can find myself now starting to not really be concerned with money when it comes to trading. Obviously, outside of trading, you've got your normal, money worries. I've got a little bit of savings, so I don't generally have it, but you really have got to get to that stage. I was thinking over the weekend, I was thinking how if I get one winning trade, I usually don't take another one. Now, I was thinking, why actually does that matter? Every time I'm sitting in front of these charts, I'm looking for a setup. It doesn't matter whether I've taken one winner in a day or 3 winners in a day or no winners. It shouldn't make a difference. I'm supposed to sit here and see and take a good trade. Now, if I've had a winning trade, it doesn't mean if I don't see a beautiful trade, I shouldn't take it. I absolutely should. Now, I'm not saying you should take loads of trades in a day, but if I take one trade and I see an absolute beauty, does it matter whether I'm taking that trade an hour after or a day after? It doesn't matter. If it's a setup, I should be taking it. So what help you get over that, having stability on the back end? It's really the only answer to this emotions and all this sort of stuff is you have to do it again and again and again until it becomes like a normal, boring job. When you first start, it's exciting, isn't it? Learning to trade, you think, I'm going to have a job where I can earn stacks of money. I can have more time off. I haven't got to answer to anybody. I haven't got to worry about being made redundant or being sacked, or if I'm ill, I'm not having a boss moaning, where am I? So, being a trader has got great benefits. You get much more time to yourself, much more family time, and you're not doing it for everybody else. You're lining your own pockets. But you have to do it again and again and again and again until it starts to become a boring job, and it doesn't get those emotional juices bubbling, if so, for want of a better word. I remember you got a 3-day job again to help back then. Yeah, I mean, I went from working sort of a 9 to 5 and then coming back and trading 3 hours in an evening. And then I wanted to put more time in, so I started working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. My wife's quite well paid in what she does. She earns a good wage, really good wage. And I get some money for affiliates, which give me almost like a part-time wage, but it's enough so that we can pay the bills relatively comfortably. And it then allows me, not only that, is my daughter's got ADHD and possibly slightly autistic as well. Well, you'd never guess. She just comes over as any old normal 16-year-old, but she just doesn't spend a lot of time at school, suffers really bad with anxiety. So it's kind of ideal how it works. I'm here full time with her. And someone needs to be really, not that she's not capable of looking after herself, but because she suffers that bad from debilitating anxiety, it works out fine. It works out really well that I'm here just sort of upstairs. But I knew pretty earlier on this is what I wanted to do, and I wanted to work my life around, or my job around, trading, which is what I initially did, and then obviously things took a turn, and this is what I'm doing now. But it's not easy, and it does take a lot of time. I'm coming up 4 years now as a trader, and I feel like now I'm kind of did she try ADHD medication? Well, it's funny you say that, Paul. Over in the UK, the NHS is absolutely on its arse, and there was a waiting list of between 4 to 7 years over here. So my wife's just plagued hell out of them, to be honest with you, because it was causing us so much time off school. So we managed to get our first appointment about 2 weeks ago. But even with the anxiety, no doctor in the UK will prescribe her any type of anti-anxiety medication, even though it's the main thing that's stopping her from going to school. It has to go from a governing body, I think they're called BEU, that deal with this type of thing. And because of the waiting list, a lot of this stemmed from COVID. All of a sudden, you're happy kids away from your parents at school, and then you're told to go home and lock yourself indoors. It's not safe outside, and it affects a massive amount of youngsters, certainly over here in the UK. I'm guessing it's probably no different anywhere else. And that stemmed a lot of her anxiety. And then the ADHD, that overactive memory and the behavioural type issues. Not as yet, no. But we've been told she's been sent to, she's waiting for an appointment for a medic to prescribe her some things, but exactly what we don't really know. And I was chatting with Nick, who comes on here now and again. He's actually a pharmacist, Nick, and I know in the US, they've identified a gene that is supposed to help treat it. You can do things like we've started giving them more leafy greens in the way of sort of juices and smoothies and that sort of stuff. On its knees, sorry, that's not the support. Yeah, it's happened to thousands of kids. I think there's kids in this UK and they call them ghost children or ghost kids. So many kids haven't gone back to school because of COVID. It's just caused so many problems, but it's just kind of the way it is. I've tried some of these meds. Absolutely. Well, funnily enough, my wife works with in mental health and well-being, and they treat adults with ADHD. So my daughter has gone into work and had a couple of sit-down talks with a couple of her clinicians, and they've said definitely ADHD and possibly on the spectrum for autism. Although you wouldn't really, she's a perfect normal child. You wouldn't identify there was anything sort of wrong with her, but obviously when you live with kids, it's a little bit different. But yeah, she said, I think even one of their clinicians takes medication for ADHD, and he said if he goes for a period without it, it's chalk and cheese. So it's a SEND coordinator at a secondary school. The kids are really struggling, mate. I tell you what, Neil, it's happening all over, isn't it? See, if you think about it, now my daughter's 16 now, so from the ages of about 1, my wife worked for Severn Trent, which is like a water authority, when Emily was sort of 1, sort of 14 years ago, and we used to put her into a nursery called Early World, and from the ages of 1, she went 1 day a week, and from the ages of 2 days a week, and 3 days, and so far. So and then they go to infant school and then junior school. So you wean your kids off you at a young age and get them, to start to be able to develop without, having their parents there 24/7. And then obviously when COVID came along, for about 4 or 5 months, everyone had to stay in the house together, so kids kind of reattach. Excuse me. So, we hear all those stories in the UK of about 1,800 people a day dying. We can see pictures of bodies up and down aisles in and outside hospitals, and they were hiring those big giant sort of truck refrigerators to store bodies and stuff. It sounds horrible, but as an adult, we understand it. We know as long as you take precautions and you're careful what you do, you're relatively safe. But kids just, it's hard to explain that to a youngster. My daughter was about, 11 or 12 at the time, and you're told you can't see your grandparents, you've got to stay away, and all this and that, and it affects kids. So it's just been a really sort of tough, slow journey, but it's useful that I'm here every day. So that little bit I get from the affiliates give me enough of a part-time wage that I can stay at home with her. So it works out sort of good. I'm here with her, and I can learn to trade without, worrying about going to sort of a full-time job and leaving her here, because either me or my wife would have to give up work. So it works. It works really well for us at the moment. So make a trade. As for she's actually, sometimes she'll watch me stream, or I won't know she will. She'll watch me stream, and if I mention I've had a bad day, I lost the trade, sometimes she'll come in and say, "Come on, Dan, that's it now, time to go." But do you know, strangely enough, I don't know whether I'd want her to be a trader, because knowing how tough it's been, mind you, in a couple of 3 years, if I'm earning good money, then, you know, maybe, but it's been a tough journey. I've found it tough because I'm quite stubborn, and I tend to, as I've said before, need to bang my head against that wall enough times to realise it, you know, it bleeds. So I've been quite stubborn, and at times I've thrown money at this thinking that's the answer, and, you know, I've got to a place where I've realised it isn't. You know, everybody wants to grow so quick, so they take bigger risks, and when things don't go their way, they throw a bit of money at it and try and get a bit lucky, and it just never works. So I don't know, maybe in the future, but I don't kind of want it to go what I've gone through. You know, it's literally been blood, sweat and tears. That's my experience of it, put it that way. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. Everyone's got problems, haven't they? You know, sometimes you think people have got perfect lives and you never quite know what's going on in the background. Breakout pullback. Let's see what happens here.
Order submitted.
No, maybe not. Yeah, no one's got a perfect life. Everyone's got problems. You know, sometimes you think it's only you, but when you start talking to other people,
Order cancelled.
Great for trading. Yeah, I mean, it has certain traits, doesn't it, ADHD? It certainly does. I still think I'd like to see these lows tested, so this might be a breakout pullback. But once it got above there, I'd expect that to move down. We've been working trying to get her into college for next year, but because she's missed so much school, she's going to have to kind of resit exams. But it's, you know, her anxiety has been that bad that at night sometimes she physically shakes. It's horrible to see. And when you take her to the doctors, they just do the sorry, we can't prescribe anything. She needs to go through someone who specialises in that type of thing. It's not nice to see. Current ATI is 2.4, so it's just under 2.5 points up the top there. Yeah, but everyone's got problems. Channel down. I think there's a good chance we come down for another leg, I do. That to me looks like a correction. And that not only come down for a second leg, but would fill that gap. So I'm wondering whether we're going to get a wider channel down here. For this, so we got a leg down, a leg and a leg. I still think this will break these lows, and if it does, fill that gap, hopefully. But yeah, NHS is crippled in this country. I know in a lot, you know, I've heard some people say, oh, take it for this test or take it for that test. Because I know obviously in the US, you know, it's private medical insurance, you get treated a lot quicker. But over here, it's, I mean, you can go privately, but it's not a case of having insurance to do it, although you can pay for insurance. But it would be expensive as hell over here. It costs an arm and a leg. But we kind of are, you know, sort of glad to have the NHS. So anybody, anytime can get treatment. Yeah, you wait a bit longer, but you haven't got to worry about, you know, things like insurance. You know, like, you know, some of the tales you hear a bit in the US about, you know, people saying that they're not going to cover certain things. Well, it leads me to that John Q film. Denzel Washington, when his son needed, I think it was a heart transplant, but I think I don't know, something to do with work and couriers. The carrier for a particular company changed something it didn't cover. So leg down, channel down, one attempt to go higher. Still think this is going to push down. If you look at that, that actually doesn't fit too bad either. So leg and a leg. So that's very tempting, that is. So I'm going to get rid of that at the moment. So it's a shame that wasn't two legs there. So there may be another leg down. It's fitting really nice on that bottom. That would take us down to this area, which kind of would make sense. Let's see this. I like that. Channel down with a break. Couple of legs, that would interest me. So I'm still thinking down to retest these lows at the moment. Lower high here or two legs. I like that. Leg down. Shame that wasn't two legs because I'd have taken that. I love them type of trades. I don't even think it's going to give us a chance to get in. I think it's just going to drop. Trouble is, if traders know where this thing's going, sometimes, you know, holding back just causes you to miss a trade sometimes. Obviously, we wait for a setup. I haven't got anything on my other chart either, unfortunately, but this to me is looking like it's coming down. And if it does come down, one, it may give us that second leg in. Two, break those lows from that initial channel down break, two pushes up, clearly coming down, and fill that gap as well. So I kind of like that. Touch, touch. It's fitting very nice along that bottom. So but we're clearly looping down. Let's have a look at that 10,000 tick chart. See if this breaks anything up. There is a nice failure forming on the 10,000 tick chart there. Channel down, one push up, second push up, lower high, trapping longs. This for me is going to come down, take out them stops, and fill the gap. That's what my gut's telling me. It is only my observation and gut feeling. The context would have to be right. Yeah, after a while you do get to the stage where you just don't worry about a loss anymore. Worrying about losses absolutely does nothing. That's not to say you haven't got to have good risk management, or at least a sensible risk management. But I got to the stage where if I took a trade, I'd kind of be too scared to take another one, and I wouldn't take another one. And if you think about it realistically, it doesn't matter whether I take one an hour later or a day later. I still wait for a setup and take a trade. The fact that I've already got one shouldn't stop me from taking one. Been stuck in this 6-point range over 16 minutes to the New York lunch. Yeah, that 10,000 tick chart's looking appealing. Definitely. Leg up, try go once, try twice. Let's see. No real opportunities here. Volume. It's declined to nothing, yeah.
Order submitted.
I've taken a short on this here, this lower high. It's going against me. Oh well. So it's not a massive risk. It's 2.75 risk. We'll see what happens. It is a break. We'll see. It's not a massive risk. But it does like it's after getting me. Well. The thing about these accounts as well, I can only take one loss and I'm done for the day, so it's not terrible. I'm going to give that one extra tick, see if it makes a difference. You're done here, Nick. Yeah, take it easy, bud. Sometimes that extra tick makes a difference. So, possible second entry short here. Let's see if this works. Yeah, sometimes that extra tick makes a difference. It helped me out the other day. It may not. It may still go up, but that doesn't really matter. Hopefully, this will come down, channel down with a break. It would be a second entry short, channel down with a break, second entry short. It needs to stay bearish, that hopefully. That's not too bad. It is a second entry short. Let's see what happens anyway. What I'm going to do is put that back to there. Because if it breaks, if it hits that, it'll push up anyway, in my opinion. So no point in risking anything extra. If it works, it works. If it's going to hit that, it'll push above it. I'd like to see it trigger though. Trouble is we may get a leg and a leg up to this top and then a move down. We'll see. I really want that to trigger. If it triggers, then it's got half a chance then. Come on. 2 ticks. Push. Push. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Could get a leg and a leg up to here and then down. I just hope that triggers. If it triggers, we've got half a chance. It's going a bit sideways, isn't it? I might get out for break even here, I think.
Target filled.
Okay, out for break even. That'll do me. It may come down. It just looked better on that other bar. But I gave it an extra tick. So sometimes if you give it an extra tick, I like to just get out and just not risk anymore. So I'm up a bit today anyway. So it may come down. So if you get a lower high or something. So yeah, it's starting to go a bit sideways, so probably sensible thing to get out. I like the channel down. I like the first attempt higher. I'd like to see another attempt. The more I look at this, the more I would prefer to get another test of this. So channel down, one attempt higher, second attempt. It's kind of getting a bit early, that. Starting to stack up. So I think when it stacks up, especially if I give it an extra tick and it saved me neck, sometimes it's good to get out and, you know, not push your luck. Excuse me, just for a quick minute. I'm just going to take bathroom break. Okay. Point of control. I think it's where the volume, isn't it? Where it's kind of bouncing off. I think something I don't really use much. I think it's where the most volume is, isn't it? Which is down here. Which is my. It's not something I use, so I can't really give you an in-depth thing about it. I think Nick's gone now, isn't he? He's done for the day. does look like we may have another push-up. Hold down, one attempt to go higher. See what happens if we bounce off this. Channel would be backed. That kind of would be a bell breakout. So let's keep an eye on this. I want this to get to here and then give us a bearish bar and then fade this back in. Not only that, channel down, leg and a leg. Be a bit too high though, I think. To be fair, I'm not so much of a YouTuber really. I'm sort of more here just for some company really. Nice to have some support. It's nice to mix ideas off other traders. So growing the channel doesn't really bother me so much. You're never going to make a lot of money from YouTube unless you're getting hundreds of thousands of regular views. So I don't mind, you know. Most of you guys use my code, so I get something, you know. So I like to think we help each other. I am here for a bit of company for you and some ideas. And so making money from YouTube doesn't really bother me, to be honest with you. I'm not really a YouTuber. That's why I don't really make videos as such. But I appreciate the sentiment. Channel down, a leg and a leg. Let's see what happens here. Prefer that to go a little bit higher above there and come down bearish, and then we will have kind of two legs up. See, that's what I'm looking at. So that would indicate to me that I'm looking to go short. Let's have a look. I don't think that's a bad
Order submitted.
setup, in all fairness. Leg and a leg. Let's see how it finishes. There's a higher low there, which we've trapped. Uh, uh, hmm. It's 10 ticks, isn't it? Tick above, tick below. See if it triggers. See, there's also maybe a bit of a range there we've pushed in and possibly bounced. So we could go up a bit here. My gut is telling me we're coming down to retest these lows. It's normal time, I believe. It is Veterans Day today, but CME isn't shut at all. I've got the printout for it. It's the official 2024 CME Globex trading, and there's nothing. We've got Labor Day, which was the last one in September, and then we got Thanksgiving 27th to 29th. So I've got nothing for this. So normal volume. The volume looks relatively normal today, but yeah, I think it'll go to normal time. Yeah, I think it'll go to normal time. Well, put it this way, it will do, because not ordinarily it'd be shut in. I think it'd be shut at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Well, it's gone 1 p.m. Eastern time now. So PSE, I believe so. Yeah, it's where there's regular volume. So does that mean it's going to attract it or bounce off it? I don't really know. Channel down, one push up, second push up. I think this will come down now, but I just want to give it a little minute. Two legs up. See if we get a lower high. On my other chart, there's going to be stops here. Mm.
Order canceled.
Just wondering, leg down, whether we trap some longs here and then come down again. This looks like a penguin style setup. Let's see if anybody's got this on. I'd like to trigger that long.
Order submitted.
It should be there. Leg, 2 pushes up, leg. I think we're more likely in the initial balance range than a downward trend. I just, for me, we've got this channel down, 2 pushes up, push below the EMA, 2 attempts to go higher. My gut feeling is we're going to get that second leg, which would get us down to the lows of the day. Once we're there, I think then that will take us and fill that gap, which is, you know what I mean? That's my gut feeling. I could be wrong. So I'm guessing something like this, which would clear out some of this. Now I've been known to be wrong. It's hard to say really. So my gut is this is going to come down, break the lows of this and break the lows of this original channel, I think. I was very tempted to take that. I just wish it was a little cleaner. Not high, looks more like a fake. Yeah, you may be right. Let's see if we get a breakout pullback. But you could even Move that to there, really. Possibly. So would that have worked for 3 points? Not as yet. It would have to get to there, which is the lows of these 4 bars here. So rotate around VWAP for the last 2 hours. Yeah. We go breakout pullback. Let's have a look.
Order cancelled.
See, I'd take that on the engulfing, but we ain't got much room to those lows, although I think it's coming down for a second leg. You don't know when it's going to come down to here, bounce here, and then push back up. And there's still a lot of space here. I still think the market's coming down at the moment for this second leg, so that's my target. The lows of the day are as close to them as... move that down a little bit. And if we get down here, then I think it's likely we feel like that. That's my personal thought anyway. So there is kind of a lower high here. It's just gone too far in my opinion. That I was kind of hoping we'd get a bull bar which triggered and stopped out. That will give it a little bit more momentum. There may be some stops there. You get sort of a gut feeling after a while, don't you? Like, you know, sort of experience kind of just guides you into what, you know, what to look for, what to do, how you feel about things. So I could take that on an engulfing. But something's just telling me not to. There's not much room to the lows here. So even if I took that on the engulfing a tick below, there's barely a point there. There isn't. There's 3 ticks at best. I still think it'll come down, but I wouldn't be surprised if it bounced here and had 2 legs up before it came down some more. Sometimes it'll just continue down from there. So I'm just channel down like that with a break like this. I'd expect something a little bit wider. You know, something kind of like that. So going short there might be a bit risky because we may get 2 legs up here. So I'm just going to sort of sit tight at the minute. Not much room to the lows there. I'd rather get in up here. Up here, I was very tempted with that bar and it did work. But I just didn't like all this. I like the fact that there was a higher low that triggered. But it's just a bit sideways there. And 2/3 of the move is already made. So that would have worked, certainly for a couple of points anyway, I think. So if I got on a limit order, sorry, on an engulfing a tick below there, there's 2 points there. I wouldn't have taken anything more than that. Normally I go for 3. In fact, I'd say there's a chance of that measure leg, but my concern here is it comes back up, tests possibly a bigger range here, a bigger channel here, and stops that out. That's a bit vulnerable for me. But you wouldn't have quite got 2 points, depending on where you got it. If you took on the engulf and you take it a tick below there, so you wouldn't have got 2 points. But that for me is a bit risky personally for 3 points. A scalp out to these lows maybe. But a little breakout like that, it could be kind of a double trap there. But with such a small channel there after this, we're going to have another leg down. I'd expect something wider, so it may have a couple of legs up to here, take that out, and then come down leg and a leg. So that would have made 2 points. That's my gut is telling me we're pushing down. We made a new low for here, but I still expect to take that out. But the trouble is, if you're not sure, you're best off just leave it alone. So channel, break, a couple of legs up. I think that was okay to take there, although it was just a little bit congested for me. So a couple of legs back up here, test this line, pick up a wider channel down, break these lows, and hopefully fill that gap. See, looking at this other chart up here, I've got it slightly different. It's working nicely there. Whereas this one, I've got it down there. I've just got it spaced out different. So this is kind of a channel in itself, but it's part of the bigger thing, I think. So we're coming to that midline now. You can see how it's working along that midline. You can see it there. You can see it there, here. Working perfect here, working perfect there. How many screens am I running? I've got 4 at the moment, but I've got this one you can see here. I've got that on the one above. One to my left is Thomas Wade's forum, plus showing me accounts. That shows me accounts, and I've got my Replicanto on there. And then up top, I've got this with all the comments running the stream. And I've got this OBS, which is doing the same thing. So I've got 4 at the moment, and they're all pretty clogged. Trouble is, when you stream, you need a bit extra, because you need OBS and you need a YouTube studio as well. So 4's a good number. My GPU is a Ryzen 7 3800X. And it handles these fine. I never have any problems. In fact, if I went on to CPU now, I bet it wouldn't be running more than a couple of percent or something like that. It runs pretty low, actually. I built this computer about 3.5 years ago. Something like that. Never done it before. Great fun, though. Real nice sense of achievement. They're not as difficult as you think, really. It's just like a big jigsaw. Well, an easy jigsaw, to be fair. It's all kind of plug and play. I got 32 gig of RAM, DDR4 RAM. I just bought all good quality components. And I think my GPU is an NVIDIA 2060, which is ample for this. Handles everything. Nothing slow. And I got super quick broadband. I got gigabit broadband as well. And that works beautifully. So there is a failure here, but I'm not taking this. Yeah, I really enjoyed building, actually. I'd never done it before. I just bought up. The good thing about Amazon is if you put down, say, a motherboard, it will give you options, other bits of software that you know, because some you can't configure with others. So you have a 2060 friend over. Oh, you got one as well, have you? I did have, see, when I first built it, I put a really cheap graphics card, and it was about 65, 60, 60, 70 pounds, something like that, because I didn't think you needed it. You know, it's not what you would think of something that needs high graphics, but I wasn't aware that Ninja Trader is quite heavy on graphics, and obviously it was fine on one screen, but when I got two charts out, it went slow, so I upgraded, and back then they were expensive. I paid about £350 for that 2060. That's when electric prices were a lot less, and everyone was buying up GPUs to mine Bitcoin. They're a lot cheaper now. I love a lot cheaper. So yeah, I paid about 370. I mean, look at the prices now. What's that? There's a 3060 there, 244, 4060, 260. So they're so much cheaper now. So much cheaper. 4060, 270. Yeah, they've dropped dramatically. GPUs just not worth mining at the moment. Yeah, I have 32 gig of DDR4 RAM. I bought good quality again. I bought good quality components. I know a guy who's a little bit sort of more up to sort of computers with me, and he said, don't buy cheap shit. It just won't last. Buy decent quality components and you'll get some time out of it. So, yeah, I started off with 16 and upgraded maybe about 12 or 18 months ago just because I was bored. You know what guys are like, gadgets. We want more and bigger everything, don't we? But it made sense. And I've got a... you don't need much more, do you? I've got a terabyte, one of the... Is it the EM2s, them little tiny flat... hard drives, you know, the SDD hard drives, they've come on massively. I mean, they were expensive not so long ago, but they're cheap nowadays. But yeah, this seems to handle it fine. I've gone onto Task Manager and had a look there, and it's not pushing it at all. So we're getting close to that measured leg. If we hit that measured leg, I'll be surprised if we don't break the lows of the day. And then there's only maybe a couple of points, 2.5 points standing between the lows of the day and this DDR4 RTX 20. Yeah. And they're good, them Ryzens. They're supposed to be really good, and they're relatively cheap. I think they're up to 9 now, so mine doesn't need upgrading yet. Maybe in another year or two, but it handles it perfectly fine now. So it does concern me upgrading because I've got that many bits of software and add-ons and all that sort of stuff. The one thing I know a little bit more about is, do you run Windows off a hard drive? Yes, I do, bud. I'm better with hardware than software, so when it comes to, you know, changing everything, how do you... I'll have to look into it. How to change it all over. I'm still rocking mine on NTTI. Must be over 10 years old. Yeah, I mean, if it works fine, there's no point in upgrading it. Here's the... it's a desktop unit. I started with a Mac. I've still got it somewhere, a MacBook Pro, which was about 2012, I think, and I started with that. I put Windows on it because obviously, you know, everything runs on Windows nowadays, doesn't it? Excuse me, that's how I started. But then I decided to buy and build. I've got one of those stand desks as well, so you can raise it up. They say sitting is the new smoking, so I usually spend half the stream stood up and half the stream sat down. And I've got three, what are they? 3 HP 24-inch HD screens and one, is it MSI 27-inch? Just fancied a slightly bigger one for my main chart. And then Windows off SSC changed mine about a year ago. And it's like a brand new PC. Is it really? Interesting. I got to say, when I first built this, I could boot Windows up from cold in maybe 4 to 6 seconds, 5 or 6 seconds. Maybe takes 10 or 12 now, but yeah, I suppose if you put operating systems on a separate... Because I think my motherboard can take 2 or 3 of those sort of small, are they EM and E2s or whatever they are? Interesting. I wish I knew a little bit more about the software side of them. I can get by. If I have problems, I can usually figure them out. But to be honest with you, I went, because, you know, going back years ago, I remember the first PC I got. It was I think it was a Pentium 150. It was about 25 years ago, something ridiculous like that. And all I remember from Windows was crashing constantly. So about 2012, I moved over to Mac. We had a Mac Mini computer in the kitchen, and we got 2 of the MacBook Pros. And I love Mac because nothing crashes, everything just works. And then obviously when I got into trading, most things really, especially like Ninja Trader, you're better off with Windows. And I've got to say, this thing has never crashed once, and I've had it 2.5, 3 years, 3 years, something like that. Never crashed once. So Windows have just really upped the game over the last 10 years. So I don't think I'd go back to Mac anymore, really. We've still got one in the kitchen. A Mac Mini, but even that thing's getting a bit slow now. And we got 2 MacBook Pros in the house, older ones, 2012, 2014, I think. But I know what a lot of traders do is trade off a laptop and they just plug screens in. The beauty of that is you're mobile, aren't you? But I'm guessing if I ever do decide to go mobile, I'd have one of each. That way, if you ever went away, you could take your mobile unit. And then I do like the fact of having a desktop because everything's so easy. It's big, it's easy. You know, once every 6 months, I'll open my case, give it a good hoover, clean it all up a bit because they clog with dust a bit, don't they? And just sort of give it a bit of a clean out and a bit of maintenance, and then it does its job. But yeah, at some point I may add to it with a laptop. I don't know how to transfer everything over so it works exactly the same as this does. Trouble with Ninja Trader, you've got loads of add-ons which you know, and as over the years, over a few years, you get all sorts of bits and pieces, don't you? It's probably pretty straightforward just to copy everything over, isn't it? But usually then you've got to go through all your passwords and all that, because usually when you move over, everything's there, but nothing bloody works password-wise. Just need them to improve the VR glasses, multiple screens, and that'd be nice, wouldn't it? You could put a headset on, couldn't you? And then just use a mouse and trade that way. I dare say that's the future, isn't it? People will trade on headsets. You can lay on your bed then, can't you? Just use your finger. Or it'll all go voice control, wouldn't it? Buy 2 contracts at so-and-so or whatever. I dare say there's probably ways of doing that now, isn't there? Technology still blows my mind. It's still amazing, really. I can chat to someone the other side of the world in real time. Amazing. Got Rodian over in Australia. You can chat to him real time. Still blows me away. So, channel down, couple of pushes up, new low, channel down. I'm looking for a second entry short, maybe retest somewhere around about here, which is the EMA in line with this, or possibly that, couple of legs up. Basically the same as this, 2 legs up and then down again, 2 legs up. I still want to make that measured move, hit the bottom and fill that gap. And with this leg, 2 legs up, the way it's working is right how I expected it to work so far. Ninja Trader with bootcamp software on my... Yeah, that's how I started, with Boot Camp, you could just either flick from Windows to Mac, couldn't you? That's how I started. Channel down, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. That's tempting. I'd have preferred that a bit higher though. But what I like is Thomas Wade has got a range here. I'll show you. This is not what I'm looking at personally. I'm looking at this coming down, but I like the fact that price now is testing the bottom of this. So, which is there. He's got that drawn right there, which is where that's bouncing. So I like that. A few bounces there, push through it, tested it once, tested it again. I'd still prefer to get a bit higher, but did a black and white build a couple of years ago in a 6010 Horizon thing. I like doing the build out. Runs great. Yeah, I was actually quite surprised that mine worked, actually. I'm not what you would call the best DIYer in the world, but I've never done it before. But the beauty about YouTube is there's all sorts of stuff. So I just did loads of research and followed that on YouTube. Plugged it all in. I think I downloaded Windows to a thumb drive, put that in. I was amazed it worked. It's never stopped ever since. I was quite amazed how straightforward it was. I thought building computers was a little bit more complicated, but as long as you don't get any issues with, you know, some things not configuring with others, I think everything tends to work. Excuse me. Okay, so channel down, 2 attempts to push high. I'm just going to sit tight on this one at the minute. I'd like a triple test. Although it might work, there's just not much room to the low, so it could have another go higher. As I say, I was looking for a wider channel to match this one down, and that kind of does. But something is just telling me just to hold on. And wait for a second entry short. Not only that, on this chart, I've just got the tops. Look how nice that's sitting on that midline. And I've got it as a separate channel here. So I don't want to take a trade here. I'd rather 2 legs up. So I would like to have another go at building one, actually. My daughter mentioned occasionally gaming in the past, so we didn't know whether to get one for her. What's your budget? Oh. Which futures platform should I choose as a beginner? I usually trade Forex on CTrader. That's how I started with Forex on MT4. But yeah, I like NinjaTrader. It's not too complicated, NinjaTrader. It's pretty straightforward. But there are others. There's Quantower's another one. Sierra Charts is another one. There's probably a bunch of them I don't even know. But I will say Quantower. I've got Quantower and I've been playing around with it, but it looks so complicated. This is very simple and very straightforward. So my suggestion would be this. But there's all sorts of stuff, isn't there? But yeah, I started with a MetaTrader 4, I think it was. The thing about currency is you just got charts everywhere. I just kind of felt messy with currency. Channel down break. Second entry short here. Yeah, I didn't like Meta. It's weird how currency traders trade on MetaTrader but do their charting on TradingView, which tells me MetaTrader is lacking something. You want one bit of software to do everything. I think it just doesn't make sense. And when I was learning, they went, yeah, you use MetaTrader 4 to execute your trades and TradingView to do your charting. Why use 2 bits of software? So it is looking like it's working, but what I will say is look how that's bouncing off that midline. So I would prefer channel down, one attempt to go higher, a second attempt. So I was hoping it wouldn't come down much further and have a second attempt. In other words, you would have a triple test then, and then push down then to this measured move, but I just don't want it to come any lower. I'm hoping after this, there's maybe might take some profit, which may get us back a little bit. Yeah, I've used it. The trouble is when you get used to a certain one, it doesn't make sense to change, does it? I like NinjaTrader. It's the first sort of futures trading platform I'd ever seen used, and I just liked it. Everything seemed to just be where it needed to be. It's very straightforward, very simple to use. I've used NinjaTrader 8. I'm really happy with how it works. Yeah, it's straightforward, isn't it? At the end of the day, trading's not the easiest job in the world, is it? So, you know, sometimes things are overcomplicated. I know Quant Hour just looks like it just looks too complicated to me. I looked at it and thought, why? I've been using this now for 3.5 years. I might as well stick to what I know. There'd be no reason for me to trade to anything else. I know sometimes you can trade multiple prop firms, but you can on here. You can trade prop firms with Rhythmic and prop firms with what's it called? Tradeovate. I don't use Sierra charts unless you want PhD. Yeah, I like NinjaTrader. It works well for me. I like it. It's very straightforward. Oh, look at that quick drop down there, right to that measured move. So we're a tick off that measured move. See how that just sat back a little bit? I was hoping there it was going to push up and it just dropped. So we're a tick away there. One more tick. Yeah, you sent me something. Was it you sent me? Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it? I did listen to bits of it. Yeah, I'd already heard bits of it. Someone else posted something. Yeah, it's bad, isn't it, that? Okay, so measured moves played out. We're about to break the lows of the day, and then we're getting very close to this gap. And I've got this as another leg. It's a shame, really. I was very tempted to take that, but my concern was we were going to get another leg up and it may nick above that. To be honest with you, that CEO sounded a bit dodgy anyway, didn't he? Some of the stories I heard. Swing trade live. I want to try futures on profit. Yeah, see, I started with currency. I learned from a guy called Andrew Lockwood, he worked for, I know some big banks. I know he worked for Swiss Bank at the London Stock Exchange during the 80s. And I think around 2005, he was over in Singapore at the time. He started trading from a computer and obviously had to kind of relearn it again. But the thing I found about currency is you got your majors and your minors, haven't you? So I just found there was just charts bloody everywhere looking for a trend. And when I saw two guys trading one chart, one time frame, and they were in and out 2 or 3 trades in a day, that I thought, that's for me. It's nothing worse than putting a trade in and then leaving it for the rest of the day and seeing if it works. If you're anything like me, you're looking at the charts, you're opening up and looking at it every 2 minutes, wondering where it's... So I like the fact that I'm in and out. I don't have to think about it. I wait for a setup, I take it, and I'm in and I'm out, and that's kind of it done. And one chart, all we do is focus on one chart. So after trading currency, it's absolutely refreshing just to do it like this. One chart, realistically, you can trade on one screen comfortably. So I like that after They're having screens bloody everywhere coming out your ears. Yeah, I mean, that's cheap in it, $35. You get $2,500 worth of leverage. So the only other option is to put $2,500 of your own money in there, as opposed to risking 85 when you go onto a PA. It's a no-brainer for me. So is this bouncing here? Both those legs are played out. This is where I'd maybe like a little bit of a break or a couple of legs. We're bouncing off the open 3 places, 1, 2, 3. I'm guessing this may trap some longs because it's kind of a triple test, but I wouldn't be thinking about going long here for sure. Three hours. I've got 15 minutes left on this before my Guardian Angel trader locks me out. We still haven't broken it yet, have we? I think we will now. So that did work. Okay, lows of the days. Right, let's see if we finally get this gap filled. So leg, we certainly could get down for this second leg, but there's two little legs here as well, I think. A leg there and one here, which would get us below there. So I think there's a good chance we'll fill that. Yeah, there are some companies that charge you. I know Andrew Lockwood, who I started learning with. I think you pay about $150, $175 for that one. And if you're new to it and you want to get a little bit of skin in the game, you're best off just paying as little as possible, because you can get through so much bloody money. Bitcoin, $83,000. That's unreal. Wonder how high it'll get. $83,000. Solana 220. Wow. Dogecoin 32 cents. Bloody hell, Dogecoin's up 22%. This is proper pumping, isn't it? Sui. Wow, that's taking off. That is. Yeah, if you're new to it and experience it, just pay as little as possible. And never ever have more than one. Once you can start building accounts, then you can go for a bit more. But never have more than, when you're relatively new and trying it, only ever have one evaluation at a time. Some people insist on going for 5 or 10 or 20 and trying to, really, I'd say only ever have one until you can actually finally get to a payment. Because if you're copying loads and you're still struggling, every time you blow one, you blow in as many as you're copying. So I would always, if you're relatively new and you're moving over to get a little bit of risk and get that experience, only ever just buy the cheapest ones, $25,000 or $50,000, whatever they are, whatever the cheapest, just to get that experience. And don't think about, trying to jump quick and get to a PA account. We kind of all do it, but it's the worst thing to do, really. I don't know how many times I got to like $50, $100 off payment and ended up blowing an account. Bad things about Apex. Okay, I'll tell you about Apex. Apex grew really quickly, and I think it was their downfall. They had problems. And what happened is there's a trader called Alpine Trader who was trading something called the open range breakout without a stop loss. So he was using the $2,500 drawdown as his stop loss. So effectively risking the whole account because it was only costing him $85, when in the real world you could never trade like that. And he was getting some massive payments from Apex. And all of a sudden, loads of other people were copying his strategy and doing the same. And then Apex cottoned on that there's so much money going out. So they started to look into it and do a bit of research. And although they had the rules, they weren't properly adhering to them. And then it was a case of they were paying that much money out, they had to start following the rules. And instead of maybe saying that, you know, from the beginning of next month, from now on, we got to start following the rules, they kind of just came out and said, you've broken the rules, you're not getting paid. So it got a lot of traders' backs up, and they just went for a rough patch. There was a few other little issues they had with problems with Rhythmic. But my honest opinion, and I genuinely mean this, I wouldn't bullshit you, I've never had a problem with Apex, and if you follow the rules, you've got no issues. But even so, don't take my word for it. Get one account, follow the rules, take it through to payment level, and build up trust that way. But I've never been denied a payment. I've never had an issue with them perfectly, and I've never been told by anyone else, unless they've revenge traded or taken massive risks, that they haven't been paid either. So there was loads of people just taking the piss. They were just, trading wildly and just going for big moves, and Apex were paying tons of money. And when they realised what they were doing, they kind of had to reel it in. So I wouldn't worry about Apex. I wouldn't touch fast track trading with a barge pole. They're about to collapse if they haven't already. But Apex have been around for a long time now. A lot of the reasons you heard the bad stuff because they just decided at the spur of the moment to follow the rules. That anyone had broken the rules, they weren't going to payment. So that's why there was such a lot of bad press. People were moaning and complaining and making videos and that. But if you follow the rules, you've got I've got 4 accounts with them. I wouldn't trade with Apex if I didn't think I was going to get paid. Now, granted, I get some affiliates and I do make some money on affiliates. So you could say, well, that's why you're doing this in your favour. And in all honesty, it is part of it. I do, get some affiliates. But even though I get some affiliates, I would still trade with other companies if I still didn't think I was going to get paid. There's my accounts there. So they're up to, well, one of them's over 2,000. They're up to 1,500 odd. But you can see their Apex. If I was concerned that I wasn't going to get paid, I would use another company. So I won't worry about it. Just follow the rules and you'll be golden. Okay, let's have a look. Leg and a leg. So we've broken the lows of the day. We're a tick away from filling that gap, which I don't think is a major issue, is it? Promo pricing applied with UKFT is for one account or unlimited. So promo price, yeah, you can have as many as you like. If you use UKFT, it doesn't cost you anything more. I get a little commission for it, but if you're new to it, if you can trade and you've been trading a while and you know how to trade and how to get an account, then by all means, get as many as you like. But if you're new to it and you're having a taste of it, just get one. Because the trouble is you get more accounts, and if you're still learning and still struggling, you just end up blowing multiple accounts. So, but yeah, they're about $33 and a few cents. At the moment, but just stick to one. Give them a try. Don't commit massively. Unfortunately, this is only a first entry. Yeah, I know. The thing is, when you're quite new, Let's have a look. You use the code. Yeah, every time you go in, just use the code. Every time you get an account. But if you're testing them out, just get one. Just give them a try. But there's no rules on the evaluation. You're welcome. You do whatever you want in the evaluation. Trade the full 10 contracts. Trade news. Whatever you want. But if you're new to trading, I wouldn't trade that way. I'd trade like your life depended on it, because ultimately that's the best way to learn. It's what very few people do, but it's the right way to do it. Just wait till you get a genuine trade. The trouble is, people have got a tendency, and I say people, what I really mean is me, got a tendency just to be silly, trade them silly. Like paper money. That's the downside to having them so cheap. It's like anything, isn't it? If something's more expensive, it holds more value to you. You naturally take better care of it. If you're driving an old banger of a car, you're not really bothered, are you? But if you pull up an £100,000 car, you're going to be a little bit careful about where you park it. And that's the downside sometimes to having them cheap. They used to do the 90% ones, which are about $17, but it's almost like paper money. Okay, so let's have a look at this. I still think we're going to fill that gap, but that's only really a first entry. You could say it's a failure, but I just generally avoid them in case we have a break. So, yeah, there are a few other traders thinking the same way. He's thinking the same way. He's not got it as a bigger channel, but he's got it as 2 legs. There's the gap. There's a measured move. So I think it's likely this is what's going to happen. I've got it as a channel. And the only reason I've got it as a channel is because it fitted perfectly. So we got very close to it there, confirming it, but I think that was close enough. I'm doing a straight. Yeah, I've not heard too much about it. I heard someone made a video and there was Daryl Martin saying they're going to start it. I don't know when or what it's going to cost. But I think as long as it's not too much more, then I think if you're making money and you're building accounts, I don't think it's a terrible way. But for newer guys, less experienced guys who still are struggling, I'd say keep it as cheap as possible. And what I should have done, if I could tell myself as a new trader, I'd say forget even considering making money for at least 12, 18 months. At least. Some people pick it up quicker, but I'd say this is. I think someone put a post a few weeks ago on the Facebook group, and they were asking people how long it took them to become profitable, and most of them were between 4 and 6 years. So I think that's probably somewhere close. So for the first year or two, I wouldn't even really think about money. You start thinking about money and it changes how you think. Just keep practicing. If you want a bit of experience on what it feels like to have a bit of skin in the game, which you do need at some point, then just stick to smaller valuations and one at a time. But what I wouldn't do is trade them crazily to try and pass them and go onto a PA account, because you'll end up paying $85 for a PA account. And when you blow that, it's not only cost you the price of an evaluation, it's cost you the price of a PA as well. So just focus on getting some consistency. That's the best way to do it. And unfortunately, when you start, you're that kind of excited and you try and run before you can walk. Right, I'm out of the game, I think, now, folks. I have my Guardian Angel Trader, which doesn't let me take a trade after 6 p.m. So I doubt very much in the next minute and 30 seconds I'm going to get some sort of trade. So I am done for the day. So I'm up over the 4 accounts. I did a small trade on that one earlier, but got out of it. So I'm up 600 for the day on those accounts. So they're coming on nice. One of them's not far off payment, but the plan is to get these to about 4,000 or 5,000 and try and take 1,000 a month out of them. And when I can do that, I'll start adding to them. on Apex, there is one difference between Rhythmic and Trader, which is platform. Now, if you're trading on Ninja Trader, it doesn't matter. I've only ever used Rhythmic with this, but I used Tradeovate with My Funded Futures, and I kind of liked it. But it's, I don't know. I've only really stuck with Rhythmic, so I don't know about you guys. What do you prefer, Tradeovate or Rhythmic? I certainly found Tradeovate a bit easier to set up, but I do like the fact that I've got all these bits of information from Rhythmic around me. So Rhythmic I prefer. So I'd probably say stick with Rhythmic initially, I would. My issue is monkey tilt. So, gap is filled. So, let's get rid of that. So, my thought process of leg and a leg was right to fill that gap. So, channel down, bit of a correction, come down, couple of attempts to go higher, and then down we go. So I would say the chances are we'll get down to this level and clean some of this out, which will give us 2 legs. So whether it does it now or has a bit more of this before it comes down. So I am done for the day, folks. So not a terrible day, $600 on my account. So that's not a bad day at all, actually. I could have gone for more on there. Kind of wished I had. A leg and a leg. In fact, usually when we get a channel down and we do have a leg and a leg, we comfortably break below there. But because I don't take these generally, I just decided to get out early, but I'd say there's a good few points there. Oh, yeah. Well, even if you'd got out there somewhere, there's definitely a 4 or 5 points there easy. So there is a time where I think it's worth holding on. Tradeovate is easy to copy trades across multiple prop firms. There you go. Yeah, I've only used Tradeovate once with My Funded Futures, and I like the fact that I could trade them both at the same time here. So look where we're bouncing there, right at the bottom there. Very close to that measured leg. I'd like a little pullback. Touch that, make a new low of this channel, make the measured leg, and then work back in. So leg and a leg, so it's pretty straightforward today. It's definitely, the volume's definitely lower. There's usually a bit more than that by now. It's just 2 legs down really. So and it is Veterans Day, isn't it? So my hat off to anyone out there who's ever served the country. I was a military family, so I know it's like being part of that. I lost my dad in the military when I was young. He was killed over in Belfast, so I got a lot of time for anybody who served the country. So we had look at that. We had the remembrance parades over the weekend. I liked seeing them. I like watching them, seeing the older guys. Okay, so leg and a leg. Cleared out this area. We may go a bit lower. We'll see. But there you go. I am sorted for the day. So I appreciate your comments. If you're carrying on trading, best of luck. I hope you get a setup. It's not a terrible day today, actually. There was a few trades around, I think, today. A couple didn't quite make the cut, but on a second chart, it may have done. I really like that one. 2 nice legs up. I thought that was a really nice trade, that, and it worked beautifully. Once we got below here, which I thought we may do, down it came, and it worked quick. So I am sorted. So Monday, not a bad start to the week. I will leave you guys to it. Why isn't this working? Why isn't right click okay? Save chart image. I'll leave you guys to it anyway. Have a great evening. Stay safe, and I'll catch up same time tomorrow. Bye for now.